Bill Rice with Kaleidico. Thanks for joining us for our Referral Marketing for Attorneys webinar. We're going to talk today a lot about referrals, which is probably a little different than what you're used to when we're talking about digital marketing. For the most part, whenever you're thinking about digital marketing, you're probably thinking about getting new clients and that sort of thing. We really want to focus on your referral partners today and hopefully give you some ideas and some techniques and some strategies to kind of improve that funnel and maybe think about it a little bit different and definitely think about it in the context of online marketing. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to actually keep it really tight, only about 20 or 30 minutes, and then we're going to open it to questions and answers so that you guys can really get your very specific questions answered. But hopefully as we go through this agenda, it'll get you thinking about the types of things that you're already doing and maybe the types of things you want to be doing so we can have some really good question and Q&A time. So the agenda is we're going to, first of all, sort of think about referrals and get you in the right frame of mind, the right context for where you get your referrals from. And again, sort of start to tweak your mind a little bit. I know all of you are getting referrals and you're probably really familiar with sort of intaking those referrals, but I want to start getting you to think about where do they come from and what's the process of actually acquiring a referral and actually making more referrals happen. And then we're going to talk about becoming systematic about developing referrals. One of the biggest problems with referrals is they're not necessarily consistent. And so we're going to try to improve that with some systems. And then, of course, designing the actual online referral capture system. So making your online presence better capable of actually capturing the referral versus having to rely on maybe a phone call or a transfer of a business card or those sort of things. But we want to actually create and design your website and some other web assets to be better and more capable of actually capturing those referrals opportunities into your system. And then, of course, building a system by which to nurture those. We know even with referrals, they're not always immediately ready to become a client for whatever reason, or they're not necessarily immediately going to engage you. So we want to talk about sort of that nurturing process and how to create that. Right off the bat, I want to let you know that there's no reason to hold your questions to the end. We've got actually on the GoToWebinar, you have the ability to ask questions. I'll be watching that and try to answer those in real time as they sort of fit with the presentation. And of course, if I don't answer them during the webinar, we'll get it during the Q&A. Out of band, or if you're watching this from the recorded version, certainly go ahead. You can call me directly, email me, or use Twitter. But definitely ask your questions. Don't hold back and engage us, and we'll answer all of those questions again, whether during the webinar or out of band or after as a result of the recording. So again, here's all my contact information, and I encourage you obviously to sign up for the newsletter because we'll be constantly giving you new updated marketing information all the time. So it's a really good source to get ongoing information and ideas from us. So let's start by talking about referral marketing itself. Again, whenever I talk to new attorneys, potential clients, and that sort of thing, they always, without fail, tell me first and foremost that their number one source of new clients is from referrers and from referrals from a variety of different partners and that sort of thing. But when I then start to ask sort of the second question, how do those referrals happen? How do those conversations start? Who are the people that are actually having the conversations and how are they actually getting to you directly? The conversation generally and the discussion starts to break down because we find out that they don't really know what that magic is behind the scenes. They know obviously that the client came to them by way of a referral, but they don't really know like how it happened or what was the conversation that prompted the referral. So let's start to think about that. So in my experience, referrals are generally triggered in a couple different ways. In all cases, some sort of social interaction. So you're at a dinner, or you're at little league practice, you're at gymnastics practice or whatever. Often a referral is a result of a social interaction. And then this is sort of where obviously most people understand that, but where people start to miss and where we start to fail to create good referral marketing programs is the second step is usually those individuals who had that social interaction, even if their best friend said, hey, you need to call this person if you have a problem, they will follow up with some sort of research. So generally that means they're going online, they're going to check out the person that was referred, they're going to figure out within their own context whether they trust them, whether they have the credibility, those sorts of things. That follow-up research is really critical to solidifying a referral marketing program. And so the best that we can do when we're creating this referral marketing is start to encourage these discussions, and we're going to talk about that. And then make sure that your brand system and your online presence is such that it's very wide, very easy to find you. And then, of course, you have the secondary effective capture system. So when they come to do that research, it becomes very easy for them to then engage and bring you in, or bring themselves into your funnel, if you will. So who are we targeting? So this is a really critical question. We need to think about, number one, who are most likely or have the highest probability of ending up into these referral-rich conversations, having these social interactions, having these discussions, and most importantly, having the discussions with the type of people that you want as clients. And then ultimately, we're going to again talk about how to funnel those referrals in. But it's really critical that you start to think about a lot of your referral partners right now are probably happening as a result of happenstance or your own social interactions. But I want to start having you think about who in your circle of influence and in your circle of friends and in your circle of colleagues actually potentially are working with the folks that you want to engage as a client. So who are those people that have the highest probability of actually already having your clients in their own mix of interactions? So whenever we're thinking about referrals, and I've kind of already started to shape this, the most important thing to remember is that referrals are not a linear activity. So it doesn't go straight from someone saying, hey, I want you to call Bob Smith, or hey, I want you to call Susie. And then they call you, and then you go and they become a client and those sorts of things. Referrals are a whole bunch of different interactions. Usually they've heard your name from a couple different places. Obviously the referral itself, maybe from a couple of different friends, they've heard the same name. Certainly, they want to or should have encountered you online through their research and those sorts of things. So generally, the actual referral itself is a result of a whole bunch of different activities occurring. So let's talk about that ecosystem and how that sort of referral process and those multiple touches start to happen. So as we're thinking about like who we want to be in our referral partner system and program, here's a couple of examples. So let's say I'm a divorce attorney. Here's the kind of people that I want to start to get into my referral system. So let's think about the people that I went to law school with, the people that are colleagues that are potentially practicing in other areas. They actually may be in your firm, but again, in other practice areas that have your clients already engaged with them. So we're talking about, in the case of a divorce attorney, it may be a business law attorney. So these individuals have high net worth clients. Those clients have a lot to lose. And of course, those clients are sophisticated and savvy. And therefore, if they get themselves into this circumstance of a divorce, they're going to want to make sure that they're well equipped with a highly capable divorce attorney. As a result, you're going to get from these type of referral partners large divorce cases. Individuals, clients with significant assets, they're already going to be business minded, which is going to be helpful in your process, and certainly going to want them to, or they're going to want to engage someone like yourself. And they will do their homework on you. So that process of going online and doing that research is just as important to the referral process for you as it is for them. So an individual like this going and doing their homework is more likely to be captured in your system as opposed to someone that's a potential client and maybe doesn't have the sophistication to be able to do their online homework. It's going to be harder to capture those individuals. So this kind of scenario makes for a perfect ecosystem. Let's look at another example. So let's look at the context of a personal injury attorney or firm. So again, we're going to look at the ecosystem. So who are the potential referral providers? And that may be, in this case, a healthcare provider. Those could be family or professionals are usually in that role with the injured party. We're looking for someone who's obviously going to be compassionate for the injured. And of course, they have the trust and the empathy. So those type of people, again, the healthcare provider, or that being a healthcare professional or a family member, is most likely to be your actual referral provider. So why do those people kind of create the ecosystem? Obviously, they're an advocate for the injured. And again, you're looking for family and professionals. They have the same level of advocacy, or they're looking for the same level of advocacy. So they're going to look for an attorney that's somewhat like them, or they feel like you're going to have the same empathy that they have. And then, of course, they're emotional and anxious. So as we're thinking about our referral system, we're going to have to figure out, again, how to be very wide and make sure that we can, in an empathetic way, bring in that referral when they start to do the research. and make sure that you're going to be the right advocate. So now let's get down to sort of the details of the system itself and creating that referral system. Again, the most important thing here and often missed is the fact that you need a system. You can't just rely on referrals coming in, because it'll be very happenstance as far as how your business is managed and how consistent it is. And what we're looking for is creating systems that make sure that referrals are a consistent part and source of your ongoing client acquisition process. So here's an example of the types of systems that you'll be creating. We focus a lot on education, again, for a couple different reasons. One, education is the most likely thing to get referred or passed around. So if I'm going to refer an attorney to one of my friends, handing a business card is one thing. Actually handing something off that you prepared, or a piece of content, or something that tells you what you should be doing during this part, whether you're preparing for a divorce or you've just had an injury and you're dealing with insurance and that sort of thing, pieces of content that a person, a friend, a referrer can actually pick up and deliver to someone to help them in that process is going to speed up that referral process. They just hand you a business card, that person's going to have to do all of the work on their own. If you create these little bits and pieces and channels that has this educational content in it, it's going to be very easy for your referral partner to pick up those little pieces of content and hand them off a much more capable, robust, and sort of shorter process to getting them to actually contacting you. So some of those channels, obviously your website and your blog, makes it really easy for you to, again, break down some very helpful pieces of information. And again, make it readily available, not only for potential referral partners, but also for yourself to distribute that to potential clients and referral partners. Facebook, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but it's definitely the yellow pages of today. So that's constantly in front of people. It's very easy for them to share something. I see a lot of people asking for referrals through Facebook. Who do I contact if I have this situation? Does anybody have a good attorney? Those sorts of things. So Facebook is very referral rich environment. Email marketing, again, we're going to talk about all these sort of mechanisms. Client surveys, some attorneys do these, a lot don't. This is a really easy and rich time to actually gain a referral from a hopefully happy client. And even if you don't have a happy client at the end of the survey, you've learned a lot about your own process and potentially your services. Traditional mail, not to be underestimated. And of course, we're going to talk about your personal pitch. Again, an area that's often missed, thinking about what is your 5-minute sort of referral pitch. So let's get into the capture systems themselves. So we're going to talk about each of those channels. Your website, without a doubt, should be the center point of all of your referral education and client acquisition content. You need to, on a routine basis, be preparing educational content and putting it on the web, again, easy for you to distribute and to start to equip your referral partners, and also easy for those referral partners to pick this stuff up and move it around and get in front of those potential clients. Ultimately, we're trying to answer those critical client questions. Again, this content is most intended to, number one, build trust and credibility, but also to speed up the referral process, speed up the research process that I was talking about before. And then, of course, trust and credibility goes in hand with that. Facebook, like I mentioned, the yellow pages, and it's one heck of a referral engine for sure. Both in that it's in our constant flow. It's a stream that's in front of everyone. I recently got on a plane trip, and as I was walking down the aisle to get to my seat, just looking from side to side, not only was everybody on their smartphone, but more importantly for this sort of exercise, everybody was looking at Facebook. So if you want to be in front of a lot of eyeballs and you want to be in a position where those friends are having those social interactions, not face to face, but probably on Facebook, you need to get into this stream. So again, that it's easy to refer. And if somebody asks that question in Facebook, you will have been in their stream enough and with enough frequency to be at the top of their mind, so that they refer you when asked that question. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. Facebook advertising is sort of the guaranteed way, but pushing content into your own Facebook page can be probably as important, if not possibly more important, than your own website and your blog. Email marketing, a huge believer in this. Whether you're talking about referral partners, you should definitely have them on your email list so that you can talk to them on a routine basis and set up a consistent schedule to push out information to them and prepare them to be ready to refer you. It's just as important to make sure that you're at the top of mind of those partners. Relying on just sort of a personal friendship or the last time that you took them to a baseball game or those sorts of things to create that referral channel for you is just not the best way. You want to make sure that you're coming into their inbox on a regular basis, delivering useful information, and again, being sitting there in their inbox as other people are requesting, who they should engage as an attorney. So the email marketing is a great process for this. It's also good for your clients. Again, a way to deliver those surveys, a way to, even on an ongoing basis, a lot of you in the particular practices that you have, you may not be re-engaging, especially personal injury and those sorts of things. May not be re-engaging the same client, but they have family members, they have other people that could potentially be referred or could ask them about their own case that generates referrals. And so for those type of situations, divorce attorneys, personal injury, it's sort of a balancing act. You don't want to completely focus on your practice area, but you want to be able to balance that with some good information that's just generally helpful. So if you're personal injury, there's a lot of stuff that can be published based on just safety tips, recalls, those sorts of things that are just constantly important to a consumer. You're talking about divorce. Again, you can team up with other partners potentially in your firm in different areas and provide ongoing sort of good information to those clients so that, again, you have a reason to continually engage them and potentially gain those referrals. Your client surveys. At this point, your client, for the most part, is probably, if everything went well, is very susceptible to giving you referrals. And that survey process, taking them through it, gaining that information, reminding them of how valuable you were to them, could potentially enhance the referral process. And even asking them at the end if there are other people that they would refer or to keep you in mind. This is, again, surveys are a great way with very low friction. The survey itself doesn't seem to be self-serving. And it certainly keeps you top of mind. It's something you can also do on an ongoing basis. So you can follow up with your client immediately after a case, but you can also follow up, every 6 months thereafter or every 3 months thereafter. Again, trying to gain, is everything still okay? How are things going now? That sort of thing, asking them some questions. So surveys are a great tool. Again, really low friction way to stay top of mind. People are usually not upset about you sending them a survey. They may or may not take it, but at least, again, you're putting your brand in front of them again. Mailings. I think this is really underestimated as to how effective. Direct mail has gone down significantly. I know my own mailbox has less and less stuff in it, so putting a good piece of mail in there, creating some variety with it, not just always the postcard, maybe something that's a personal note, or you create some system to create variety in that mail. But the mailbox still is a really nice way to go in and stay top of mind, particularly with referral partners, professionals, other professionals. Again, they get a lot of the type of mail they get are a lot of solicitation and that sort of thing. So if you come in there with a private note or something personal, it's an easy way to, again, sort of stay top of mind. Also to condition them to how to be a good referral partner. So giving them ideas as to the types of cases that you're looking for, the types of people that you can help, providing them, again, some educational information. Again, a very personal, even handwritten sort of note that just sort of stays in touch with them, again, can really stand out amongst all of the other people and particularly other professionals that they could refer. So this is a really effective way. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can have your assistant prepare a lot of this, but just putting your personal touch on it at the end, highly, highly effective. And then, of course, the elevator pitch. We talk about this a lot as entrepreneurs and founders and those sorts of things, but we don't often talk about it in the context of an attorney or any other sort of service professional. But practicing what that 5-minute introduction looks like can be really powerful by virtue of your position and probably your social circles and that sort of thing. You're engaged in a lot of social interactions yourself, and you're meeting a lot of people that you don't know or don't know you. The most obvious first question in a cold interaction in a social environment is, what do you do? And so the question is, are you prepared to answer that question very quickly in such a way that it actually produces potential referrals? So practice that. Practice explaining to them what you do and the type of people that you help. And you can, in each of those introductions, really condition and create a referral market for you. And also, this is really key. I found this highly, highly effective, and you should do it the same. Don't just practice your personal pitch as to what you do and what you can help, but also start to compile sort of a mental Rolodex of the top 5 type of professionals that you would potentially immediately refer out. So think about your social conversations and the things that come up often in that very first introduction, or even a couple of times after that. Somewhere along the way, they'll mention, hey, this is what I do, or this is what's going on in my life. Make sure that you have like a few people that you can throw out in that first conversation to say, oh, well, you should meet so-and-so. So it could be a business introduction, or it could be actually a referral for some other actual service. But have just a few people top of mind that you can actually immediately create value by introducing them to someone or telling them that you're going to follow up with them with an introduction can be seriously powerful, because it all of a sudden sort of shifts this salesy feel of you kind of pushing on them, telling them what you do, redirecting that, giving them some value. And then, of course, you now have had multiple interactions with them, and they'll start to remember you as the person that kind of knows people and can provide good referrals. And of course, those are going to come back to you. So again, thinking of it like that, being prepared to actually give out a referral can be a really powerful way to use this elevator pitch. So let's talk about the nurturing program at the same time, and then we'll finish up here and we'll go to some questions and answers. So actually, we talked about the website as actually being a content delivery vehicle, but it also needs to be a capture vehicle. So you want to make sure that, again, you have that educational content, but you're also thinking about ways to capture that information off of there, and then using that same information, same content to directly flow out to them. So you're flowing out through, in the case of website, it could be through your blog so that there's reoccurring content. And then we're going to repurpose this authoritative content, this outreach type, top of mind sort of focused content in a lot of other ways. We're going to flow it out through our Facebook. Again, we talked about being in the stream, your website being that source of educational content. And by creating reoccurring, consistent, nice editorial calendar of content that's going to flow out on a regular basis can also fuel these other channels. So not only is it going out through your website, but you're also moving it out through your Facebook. So it just gives one more piece of distribution out, again, to keep this nurturing process, to give reoccurring opportunities for you to reach out to that client in different channels and in different ways and in different places. Email marketing, again, same information that you're publishing on the blog can very easily and efficiently flow out to your email marketing list, and making sure that, again, talking to your referral partners, it's equipping them to be able to refer you, to give the right information so that they know who you are and who you serve, but also clients and those sorts of things actually gaining some value from you as they're sort of building that trust and credibility, either to refer you or potentially to engage you on their own. And then, of course, email is just an awesome, easy way to have someone receive that email and forward it. So probably one of your top, as you kind of build this system of nurturing, one of your top referral channels will probably be a forwarded email. So email comes into their box. Someone is already on their mind that, hey, this email would be helpful to whoever, and they forward it. Or it's in the proximity of their inbox and someone engages them and says, hey, I need to solve this problem, or I have this issue, or whatever. They're like, oh, I just got an email from Bill. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, search for it real quick, and push that off to Mike or whoever. So all in all, as we wrap up, what should you be doing? First and foremost, you should be blogging. And when I say that, it's not just sort of blogging in that natural sort of context of a blogger. It's just you need to be producing educational material on a regular and a frequent basis, and blogging is often the best sort of mechanism or platform to do this and be able to publish very quickly with the least bit or the least amount of overhead on your part. Client surveys, super powerful. We talked about that. Not only are you gaining feedback, but usually those clients are in a rich sort of mindset to give you referrals. So you definitely need to be doing those. And I would encourage you to do those over time. Content distribution, again, flowing that out, that content that you produced on your blog or your website out to your email list and out to your Facebook. And then this is another one. This can be a little more challenging, but if you can do it, it's very powerful. There are a lot of other professional sites that are asking for or probably want content from attorneys that are willing to publish in this sort of informal process. So if you can locate some of those other venues, I recommend, and when we engage our attorney clients, we try really hard to actually publish 3 times as much content on other publication platforms or other websites, because in most cases, those other sites have a lot more traffic and have a lot more potential referral partners, a lot more professionals looking at them than maybe your own website. And so by getting out there is actually going to obviously raise your visibility and push more traffic back to you, more eyeballs back to you, and build your own audience. And then, of course, email capture and marketing. Make sure in every place that you can, you're asking for them to come onto the newsletter and to engage with you directly so that you can continue to get the ROI on that capture. You can market to them over and over and over again. Super, super powerful, and always stay top of mind and in their inbox. Questions. Again, if you're taking this as a recording, we'll wind it up here, but you can ask any questions, anything that we've sort of generated as a thought or a question or potentially a program that you're working on right now. I'd be happy to answer any of those questions and try to get you further along. You can call me directly. You can use my email, of course, on Twitter. And then, of course, highly, highly encourage you to join the Kaleido newsletter because, again, we're always flowing out information. We have a lot of attorney clients and law firms. So a lot of this is actually going to be, that's coming out through the newsletter will actually be very specific to you. And even the general content will give you a lot of ideas if you're building your referral program or just your general marketing program. So hopefully you enjoyed the webinar. If you're, again, watching this as a recording, if you're on the line with me live,